In my Battlefield 1 beta review, I said that I was leaning towards not getting Battlefield 1 because it seemed really unimpressive and it wasn't what I wanted. But little did I know, EA and DICE had a hot, steaming pocket of gaming greatness cooking up. Not only did they listen to a lot of the beta feedback coming from the community, like how tanks were overpowered, but the game itself just has so much more to offer, and needless to say, I'm really happy I didn't hold to my original plans of not getting this game. What's going on, guys? My name is Chris, this is NCG Gaming, and today's piece is on Battlefield 1. So when you first start the game, before you even make it into the main menu screen, you're already getting warmed up by what might be the best video game musical score of the year 2016. The soundtracks in this game are grade A and do a phenomenal job of setting the pace and atmosphere for this game. This alone is definitely one of my favorite parts of this game. Like most Battlefield games, there's a multiplayer and then there's a campaign, and these basically make up the entirety of the game. So for this video, we'll start by talking about the campaign. The campaign drops you into the front lines of what has to be the most graphically impressive depiction of World War I thus far. It instantly begins setting the pace for the rest of the game and letting you know that this game is war, and in war, people die. The immersion of the campaign experience makes your heart go out a little bit when you see your comrades dying, and it helps you to understand the grim face of World War I a little more. See, everybody knows that people die in war, but most people don't think about how people die in war. You just assume they got shot. You never really think that maybe this person just had the unfortunate job of being a runner, a blimp lookout, or another type of suicidal position where dying is basically part of their job. Playing through the campaign will find you piloting tanks, flying planes, and does a good job of introducing many of Battlefield's new recruits to the various different gameplay staples of Battlefield games, as well as giving you the chance to practice in those vehicles, as unlike Battlefield 4, this game lacks a firing range where you can practice doing so otherwise. The individual stories take place all over the world to help the player understand how wide the war really was and give insight into many of the different battles that would ultimately shape the war. In this instant, the game borders on edutainment, as many people are bound to learn something they didn't know about World War I. I understand a lot of people might have an issue with the length of the campaign, but I don't really think it's an issue. I believe the devs expected that, like most Battlefield campaigns, it would be quickly forgotten, and didn't sink a lot of time into developing for it. But this time, unlike other Battlefield campaigns, they actually made a solid campaign that leaves you wanting more. In any case though, this campaign is undoubtedly the best campaign since Bad Company 2.
We have lost objective apples.
Now, when it comes to the multiplayer for this game, I honestly don't even know where to start. There's so much to talk about, but I think Battlefield games have always tried a little harder than most other shooters to immerse you into the world of their multiplayer experiences, but never before have they succeeded like they do in Battlefield 1. The atmosphere that this is war comes through even in the multiplayer. There are times when you have to remind yourself that you're playing against IRL people, and then there are other times when you just can't forget. Like most Battlefield games, multiplayer is chaos. It allows the player to do whatever they want as long as it's within the borders of the playable area, which is always sure to give life to moments you won't see anywhere other than Battlefield. In Battlefield 1, this chaos is paired with breathtaking graphics and 9 of the most dynamic and destructible maps seen thus far in gaming, creating a truly breathtaking experience. However, this only complements the extremely solid gameplay balance of Battlefield 1. The infantry and vehicle play is almost perfectly meshed, and infantry classes are exceptionally balanced. The assault class outplays most other classes in close to mid combat and far outperforms the other classes in anti-armor. The medic class holds the crown when it comes to mid-range, and with the only methods of healing and reviving, is always an asset to the team. The scout class holds it down at long range and is more than effective at chipping away the enemy tickets. However, it suffers from the game and this time era's lack of communicational methods, and as such, isn't as effective at spotting, surveillance, and reconnaissance as in previous installments. And lastly, the support class does exactly what its name implies. It supports the team and other classes by repairing vehicles, resupplying ammo, providing suppression, as well as infantry and minor anti-armor assistance. And although support gets easily outgunned by snipers, medics, and assault at long, mid, and close range respectively, it offers more versatility than any other class and is capable of performing in a number of functions. If I could change one thing though, I'd love to see the support guns do more damage to planes, but all in all the classes seem like viable field options, none being too OP or useless. Onto the vehicles, tanks received a few changes since the beta and meshed to the field perfectly. I remember hating them in the beta, but that's just because I didn't understand what DICE was going for when they implemented them like they did. But I get it now though. Back during World War I, tanks were a nightmare on the field because there weren't very many provisions for combating them. As such, tanks in Battlefield 1 I believe were meant to be OP, because tanks in real life during this time period were also OP. As things are now though, tanks are well balanced and are very lethal and powerful, but against a team or even a squad for that matter of people dedicated to taking the tank out, the tank is easily countered. As for planes, the handling takes a little more getting used to than in other Battlefields, but works well and are fun and effective when used with friends or a good squad. I've always felt the Battlefield games are always best when the focus is placed on a rush type game flow, as opposed to the conquest type game flow featured in Battlefield 4. In Rush, the maps are more linear and focus the players into less area, thereby making the game feel more full, populated, and chaotic. It makes it so that you have to watch every angle because you never know where people are coming from, but you don't ever go too long without finding someone, keeping the game changing and never boring. Conquest features wide areas with lots of players, which opens up possible player positions but creates dips in the map where you can go long periods of time without seeing enemy players. So this means Conquest has the potential to create some of the most exciting moments in battles, but it also has a higher chance of creating long periods of boredom and no enemy contact. Battlefield 1 takes the best of both these worlds and combines them into a narrative-driven game mode called Operations, and creates what I honestly believe is the best possible Battlefield experience to date. Operations reimagines actual historical battles in a Battlefield-esque game of hold and capture, in which two teams representing two warring armies battle for control of two objectives. In this game, the attacking team tries to take both objectives, and if they do, then they win the sector. They have to win all the sectors to win the map, and they have to win on 2 maps to win the game. The defenders defend against 3 waves of attackers. If the defenders can successfully defend against all 3 waves, then the defenders win. The only catch is that after every wave past the first one, the attackers are reinforced by a game-changing vehicle like an airship or an armored train. The dynamics of this game mode are immense, and the battles are long and chaotic as though they were a real war. What I really like about this game mode is that there's an imbalance in the defender's favor. It makes for a really challenging experience for the attacking team, and also reflects the odds some armies had to face and overcome to shape the outcome of both the war and ultimately the world as we know it. See, that's what I really love about Battlefield 1, the larger than life meaning to the game. I've never been one that gets immersed into a game, which might explain why I never much cared for Skyrim, but Battlefield 1 brings me into the game. It gets me thinking about World War I, something that I otherwise would barely throw a passing thought. It makes me feel like in some way this is more than just a game, which for me is untrue. For me, the player, this is nothing more than a game, a pastime, hell, and arguably battle one at that. But for those who came before me, this was so much more than a game. It was life itself, and in more ways than one, it was death. Playing this game and knowing that the actions depicted are more than possible, but have in some function already happened, gets me pumping, gets my heart racing, and gets me thinking about what I would do if I were in a war like this. What would I be thinking? What would others be thinking? Is this something I could ever even see myself being ready for? It makes me feel all tingly inside knowing that some time ago, people fought in hell like this, just for the sake of a flag, for the sake of a family, and for the sake of a future where one of these idiots gets into the White House.
Yeah, but I'm ballin'. I came from nothing to something like it's...
No, in all seriousness though, I really enjoyed this game. I can honestly say that this game has been the best gaming experience I've had in the year 2016. This game will stay dear to my memory, and I really just appreciate DICE for making this game. With this, I say thank you, stay safe, and take it easy.